An SA Delphi IT Schools production. Learning by seeing. Yes. Good, in this tutorial we are going to continue and work a little bit on our QuickBanana Driving School application. And what we're going to try to achieve is to create a master detail form. And what does that entail? So let's go to our database and let's have a look. And you will know that this database application is about learner drivers going to a driving school, and each driver, which is part of our learner clients table, has a preferred instructor. So if we quickly look at our instructors table, you will see that each instructor has a instructor personnel ID, and obviously you will recognize that it is my primary key. So what does that mean? It means no other instructor has the same instructor personnel ID, so that uniquely identifies each record that I have. And then we have our learner clients table, and you will see there's a field there called preferred instructor. It's here on the side, preferred instructor. And if we have a look at our preferred instructor, then you will see that it is linked. So over here we've got a foreign key. So if we go, for instance, to Atina Jason, her preferred instructor is INS004, and if we go to INS004, we can see it's Jackson Tsotsana. So Jackson Tsotsana as an instructor may appear many times. You will see him appear there he is appearing again. So what do we have is you have one instructor that can have many learner clients that wants to have him as their preferred driver instructor. So if we go back to our relationship, we can see one instructor can have many clients. So very important for us, if we click on the relationship, it tells us that we have enforced referential integrity. That means we cannot have a foreign key reference if there is no primary key record available. That's very important for us. Often we see that it's weak relationships that set up because referential integrity is not enforced. So to recap, we're going to try and modify our application so that we show one instructor details, but then for every driver or learner that is assigned to that specific driver, we would like to show that. So our relationship is one-to-many. Our primary key there, just to recap, is our instructor personnel ID, and our preferred instructor is our foreign key over here, and it links there. So let's just quickly have a look. If we go to learner clients, just again, we will see that this is my foreign key because the value appear over there. Alright, so this is just part of our database, and now from this database in our application, we are going to create on this tab sheet over here, which is part of my page control, our application. We also have our data module, and you will see I've got a data source for instructors and learners, and then we've got a data set, associated data set for the table instructors and the table learners. They always work hand in hand with one another. Good, so we're going to continue with our code in the next session. Alright, so we're going to continue, and on our tab sheet over here, I'm going to place a DB grid. So I'm selecting DB grid from our component palette. It's not showing in the video, but you can play around to place it on and make sure that it is on the correct tab sheet. You will see, if we have a look over here, the DB grid is placed as part of the tab sheet TBS instructor learner. That means it's going to be displayed over there. Now, to create a master detail type of setup and a connection between our data sets, we can do it on various ways. I'm going to show you the program code way, and you and your teacher or so can play around by setting it with the object inspector and properties. Always remember, everything that we can do with the object inspector, setting various properties and associations and so forth, we can also do using program code. Now what is crucial for us is to quickly just have a look again at our data module. And what we need to know now is that when these two tables are opened, these data sets are opened, then that data is fetched and placed into the memory. So we've got a separate data set containing the memory. So what would we like to do? We would like to go and say the client's data set is going to be dependent on the data from the instructor. What do we mean by that? We're going to say it must place a type of a filter on it. So if we are at one specific instructor, which is the master, then the details in this table should only be linked to that specific master record. If you can remember, we want it to work like this. If I'm at one instructor, it must only show me the learner clients that is associated or preferred to by that specific instructor. So very important, we are working with the instructor. So the instructor's data set as our master, and this is our detail. But we work a little bit the way around. We say the learner clients has a master. So the important thing is that we work with data sources. Alright, the data source is our intermediate component that helps us with our components to talk to our data set. So I'm going to go to this tab sheet and I'm going to go to on the event on show. When this tab sheet is shown, that means when the user clicks on it, we want certain code to happen. So you will see some of my previous code, which is not part of this video, but you're more than welcome to review it. You will see my data module is called DMBanana, B-A-N. And here's my data module, DMBanana. All right. So in my code again, we are going to say DMBanana. And then we are going to refer to our data set, DMBanana DS. And if we go to instructors, learners, dot, and then you're going to see that we have our data set learners. Alright, so we can then refer to the data set, which is the component that's in between. That is very, very important. Alright, so just keep that in mind. We're going to continue with it just now. So we said that this DS is our data source and it refers to our components, which is then linked via the data source to our record set, or as we call it, our data set, which is our table. So if we quickly inspect learner clients, you will see it has a property here called master source. We want the client's data set. That means the data set like this in the memory to be dependent on another table. It is type of the slave table, if we can call it that way. It's the detail table. We're creating a master detail. This one provides the details. The instructor is going to be the master because we're going to use that as our master key, and the details one is then this one. It must show me all the learners that belong to that instructor. So my master source is instructor. So let us quickly have a look. If we say master source, if we do it the normal way, you see it links to, and that is why I've shown you the data source. It links to the data source. So the clients, the master is going to be the instructors. But we're going to do this with code now. We're going to do this with code. So we're going to say TBL clients dot master source. So the client is going to have a master, and this is going to be DMBan dot, and now we're going to say DS instructors. Alright, so there we have it. The clients table is going to have a master, and the master source is going to be the data source of the instructors. But now we need to say, how is these fields going to link with that particular one? So we're going to say dmban .tbl learner clients .master fields. So what is the field? In our case, we're going to assign one. What is the master field going to be? Let's have a look. The master field is going to be over here. It's instructor personnel ID. But very important, we are working with what? The learner clients. Alright, so the master field in our learner clients, we're going to experiment. We're going to use both and see what's going to happen. Master fields, and over here then we are going to say, alright, let's start off with the preferred instructor. So we are going to say preferred instructor. Let's just see if I spelled it correctly. PR, preferred instructor with 2 R's. Yes. And to do that, we're first just going to close both of our data sets. We must close it before we use it. So we're going to say that one must close. And we need to close the main one as well. Alright, so then we can do change. We're closing the tables, we're applying certain changes to the data set, and then we are going to open it again. Alright, so let's just quickly save. But now we still don't have any way to view how the data is going to appear. So we're going to press F12. We're going to call this dbgrid1 for my instructors. And if you have a look, if I have one already, yes, I say dbgrid learners. So I'm going to call this one dbgrid learner instructor. And I would like to put on another dbgrid. We can change that just now. And this one is going to be my instructors. dbgrid instructor. Alright, so when the tab scene again shows, we're going to say dbgrid learners data source. Remember, we're connecting to a data source, and the data source referred to the data source as part of my data module. dmbanana.ds learners. Alright, and the db grid not learners, I made a mistake. If you have a look, I called this one instructor and I called this one learner instructor. So let's just go back to my code. This should be dbgrid learner dbgrid learner instructor. Alright, and this one should be called dbgrid instructor data source equals dmban dot instructors. So there we just connected the data source property of our dbgrids. Remember, this is a control. Controls do not talk, or a component, they don't talk to the data, to the tables directly. We always talk via a data source, and this then here is incorrect. This must be ds instructors. Alright, so then we've set that and we've opened it. So let's just save, let's run this, and let's see what happens, if it's going to work or if it falls over. So if we go to Open Data Management Form, it tells us field preferred instructor not found. So if we go back to our code, we will see we're going to say run program reset. It tells us the master field, it cannot find such a field. So the master comes from, it's the instructor personnel ID, instructor personnel ID, instructor pers ID. So let's change it to that. Instruct pers ID, instructor pers ID. Let's save it, let's run it, let's see. Now if you click here, item cannot be found corresponding to the name or ordinal. So we've got a little problem, we will fix that just. Right, so last time we were here and we said we've got our master source, which is our instructor's data source, and then our master field, which is the instructor's personnel ID. So let's just quickly have a look again. We would like to display all the learner clients for a particular instructor. So our master field is the instructor personnel ID. But as you can remember, we got an error from the compiler. It told us the following. So let's just quickly have a look. Let's recap that error and then let's just see what the problem is. So if we say Open Data Management Form, then like magic it works. But what we should actually also do, let me just, what we should actually do, we should also include an index field name. I quickly want to explain the concept of index fields. Index fields is a field name where I tell the data set to sort the data according to something. Let's just have a look. If you have a look over here, you will see this instructor INS004 appear different times but at different positions. So if we then sort it, for instance, now we will see all the 001 instructors are together, and that is what an index field does. If we change an index, we're actually telling the data set to be sorted according to a particular key. Now let's have a look. If we now go, for instance, to instructor number 001, it will be easy for this data set to be filtered because all the 001 records here fields are together, and that is exactly what an index field does. An index field sorts this data set according to. So now if we run it, you will see the following. If we click there, this one is shown. So all of these records, if we just go there, you will see is part of 001. This is because this data set was sorted, and it's sorted internally because we set the index field name. If I go to 002, then we have all the 002 instructors, and I can work with these data sets as is. But what I would like to exclamate now is, if we exit this tab sheet, then that relationship, the master detail, has not been removed. So we can experience some problems. You will see over here, we only have instructor 004. So we need to take it out. We need to break or remove this relationship. So we're going to do that on, or the relationship internally. We're going to do that on the on exit. So how are we going to do that? We're going to go press F11 and say on our events, on exit. When we exit, we used on show when it's shown, but when we exit, we would like to remove that setup again. So we're going to do this. We're going to say the master source equals null, and the index field names equals nothing, and the master fields again we're going to say equals null. So let's see if that works. According to me it should. Let's just run again. got 2 errors. It says it does not, what are we missing? Oh, so it cannot point Y string to a pointer, so let's just make it empty, and let's just make this one empty, and there it wants a null, it seems. Null, save, there we go. So let's just have a look and see if our coding is working. You will see if I click here, automatically this one was my default tab sheet. Now we've got all the preferred instructors there, all the preferred, if it changes, it automatically filters it. This is what happens over here. The master source, we say is instructors. We say that the learner client's data must be sorted according to the preferred instructor, and the master field, if that field, if you change it, it only reflects those ones, like placing on a filter. But this is not what we want to test. If we go back to our learners, there we go, we can now see all of our data and our records again are shown. So this is how we set up a master detail relationship. You can now put navigators over here. You can even replace this component over here with normal DB edits, but this is what I wanted to show you as part of this lesson. Alright, so I really hope that you've learned and that you've enjoyed this session with us and that you use it as part of your projects.